Have you ever wondered if there are specific foods that could help you lower your blood sugar quickly without relying on medication alone? The answer might surprise you. Research suggests that certain everyday foods can have a significant impact on your glucose levels, and the science behind it is more straightforward than you might think. Welcome back to HEH. I'm Dr. Vivian Hart. If you're managing type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, you know the daily struggle of keeping your blood sugar in check. You might have been told to simply eat less sugar or avoid carbs, but that advice can feel vague and unhelpful. The truth is, not all carbohydrates are created equal, and the right foods can actually help you stabilize your glucose levels faster than you might expect. The problem many people face is that they're not sure which foods are truly beneficial and which ones are secretly spiking their blood sugar. It's a common frustration. You think you're making healthy choices, but your glucose monitor tells a different story. This is where the science of nutrition becomes your most powerful tool. Let's start with the science. A 2025 network meta-analysis published in Nutrition and Metabolism evaluated 12 different dietary interventions and found that several nutritional strategies can significantly improve fasting plasma glucose, postprandial glucose, and HbA1c levels. This confirms that the foods you choose have a direct, measurable impact on your blood sugar. One of the most powerful concepts in blood sugar management is the glycemic index, or GI. The GI measures how quickly a food raises your blood glucose. Low GI foods are digested and absorbed more slowly, leading to a gradual rise in blood sugar rather than a sharp spike. A 2023 literature review of randomized controlled trials found that low GI diets can improve glycemic control, blood lipids, blood pressure, and BMI in people with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. In fact, the review noted that low GI diets are consistently associated with better blood sugar management, which is why they are a cornerstone of many diabetes nutrition plans. But glycemic index is only part of the story. Another important factor is glycemic load, which takes into account both the GI of a food and the amount of carbohydrates in a typical serving. This means that even a food with a moderate GI might still be beneficial if the serving size is small. Understanding both GI and glycemic load can help you make more informed food choices. So, what are the best foods to eat? Let's break them down into categories that are easy to remember and incorporate into your daily routine. Category 1. High fiber. Foods. Fiber is a superstar when it comes to blood sugar control. It slows down digestion, which prevents rapid glucose spikes. A 2025 systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials found that dietary fiber supplementation improved glucose homeostasis and insulin sensitivity in individuals with overweight and obesity. Another 2025 study on a culturally adapted gluten-free high-fiber diet showed significant improvements in glycemic control for people with newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. Why does fiber work so well? Soluble fiber, in particular, forms a gel-like substance in your digestive tract. This gel traps carbohydrates and slows their absorption, which means glucose enters your bloodstream more gradually. This effect can last for several hours after a meal, helping to keep your blood sugar stable throughout the morning or afternoon. Some of the best high-fiber foods to include are legumes, such as beans, lentils, and chickpeas. These are packed with soluble fiber. A 2025 study on novel staple foods noted that legumes and whole grains have a direct influence on postprandial glycemic response. Whole grains like oats, barley, quinoa, and brown rice are excellent choices. A 2025 trial found that high amylose barley bread lowered postprandial glucose more effectively than regular barley or wheat bread. Vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts are also rich in fiber and low in carbohydrates. To put this into practice, aim to include at least 1 serving of legumes or whole grains in at least 2 meals per day. This could be as simple as adding a handful of spinach to your morning omelet or swapping white rice for quinoa at dinner. Category 2. Low glycemic fruits. Fruits are often avoided because of their sugar content, but not all fruits are created equal. A 2025 meta-analysis found that whole fruit-based products can improve HbA1c, fasting blood glucose, and HDL cholesterol levels in patients with type 2 diabetes. Some fruits that are lower in sugar and have a lower glycemic index include berries like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries, which are rich in fiber and antioxidants. Apples and pears contain pectin, a type of soluble fiber that slows digestion. Citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruits have a lower glycemic index compared to tropical fruits like pineapple and mango. The key is to eat the whole fruit rather than drinking fruit juice. When you eat a whole fruit, the fiber matrix helps slow down the absorption of the natural sugars. Fruit juice, on the other hand, has had the fiber removed, which means the sugar enters your bloodstream much more quickly, causing a spike. Category 3. Healthy fats and proteins. Including healthy fats and proteins in your meals can help stabilize blood sugar by slowing down the absorption of carbohydrates. A 2025 study on dietary patterns found that a healthy diet rich in nuts, seeds, olive oil, legumes, fish, and whole grains was associated with a lower risk of impaired fasting glucose. Some excellent options are nuts and seeds like almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds, which are great sources of healthy fats and fiber. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which have been shown to support metabolic health. Extra virgin olive oil is a staple of the Mediterranean diet, which has been shown to be highly effective for glycemic control. Why does protein help with blood sugar? Protein stimulates the release of a hormone called GLP-1, which slows gastric emptying. When food leaves your stomach more slowly, the carbohydrates are absorbed more gradually, resulting in a smaller glucose spike. This is why a meal that includes protein, like eggs with vegetables, will often result in better blood sugar levels than a meal that is purely carbohydrate-based, like a bowl of oatmeal with honey. Category 4. Specific foods with strong evidence. Some foods have been studied extensively for their blood sugar lowering effects. Mangoes have been the subject of recent research. A 2025 randomized controlled trial assessed the effects of consuming 250 grams of mango daily for 8 weeks in people with type 2 diabetes. The study aimed to evaluate the impact on glycemia and other metabolic markers. While mangoes are sweet, the research suggests that when consumed in moderation, they may not cause the expected glucose spike, possibly due to their fiber and polyphenol content. Pomegranate is another fruit with promising evidence. A meta-analysis found that pomegranate consumption significantly reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 2.22 milligrams per deciliter. The polyphenols in pomegranate are believed to support insulin sensitivity. Millets are ancient grains that are gaining attention for their low glycemic index. A 2025 systematic review found that millets can help reduce fasting and postprandial blood sugar. They are also rich in fiber and minerals like magnesium, which is important for insulin function. Cinnamon is one of the most studied spices for blood sugar management. An umbrella review of meta-analyses found that cinnamon supplementation is significantly associated with improvements in fasting blood glucose and lipid profiles, with more pronounced effects in patients with diabetes. Another meta-analysis showed that cinnamon supplementation for 8 to 16 weeks was associated with a significant reduction in fasting and postprandial blood sugar. The active compound in cinnamon, cinnamaldehyde, is believed to improve insulin sensitivity. Vinegar has also shown consistent benefits. A randomized crossover trial found that daily vinegar ingestion improved 24-hour blood glucose control in adults with glucose intolerance. Another study showed that vinegar ingestion at mealtime reduced fasting blood glucose in healthy adults at risk for type 2 diabetes. The acetic acid in vinegar is thought to slow down the digestion of carbohydrates. Now, let's talk about how you can put this information into practice. Here are 3 actionable steps you can take starting today to lower your blood sugar fast. Step 1. Start your meals with a preload. A powerful strategy is to eat a small portion of protein, fat, or fiber before your main meal. For example, you could have a handful of nuts, a small salad with olive oil, or a hard-boiled egg 15 minutes before your main course. This preload helps slow down the digestion of carbohydrates that follow, reducing the post-meal glucose spike. This is supported by research on the Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes the importance of meal composition. The preload works by activating the GLP-1 response before the carbohydrates arrive, giving your body a head start on managing glucose. Step 2. Swap high GI foods for low GI alternatives. Simple swaps can make a big difference. For instance, replace white bread with whole grain or high amylose barley bread. Swap white rice for quinoa, brown rice, or millet. Choose whole fruit over fruit juice. A 2023 study found that a 24-hour low GI diet could reduce glycemic response and variability as recorded by continuous glucose monitoring. This suggests that even short-term changes can have a noticeable impact on your blood sugar. Over time, these small swaps become habits that support long-term metabolic health. Step 3. Add vinegar and cinnamon to your meals. These 2 pantry staples have been shown in multiple studies to have a beneficial effect on blood sugar. Try adding a tablespoon of vinegar, like apple cider vinegar, to your salad dressing or drinking it diluted in water before meals. Sprinkle cinnamon on your oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies. The evidence suggests that these simple additions can contribute to better glycemic control. Consistency matters more than quantity. A small amount added to meals regularly is more beneficial than a large amount used occasionally. It's important to remember that everyone responds differently to foods. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to monitor your blood sugar and see how your body reacts to different foods. This personalized approach is supported by a 2025 systematic review on the effectiveness of personalized nutrition for managing type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. I want to share a quick story. A patient of mine, let's call him David, was struggling with high fasting glucose levels despite taking his medication. He was frustrated and felt like he was doing everything right. We started by implementing some of these strategies. He began his meals with a small salad, swapped white rice for quinoa, and added cinnamon to his morning oatmeal. Within a few weeks, his fasting glucose numbers started to come down, and he reported feeling more energetic throughout the day. He realized that small, consistent changes could make a significant difference. His experience underscores what the research suggests. The right foods can be a powerful ally in blood sugar management. If you're looking for a comprehensive approach, the Mediterranean diet has consistently been shown to be one of the most effective dietary patterns for glycemic control. It emphasizes whole foods, healthy fats, and lean proteins, which aligns perfectly with the foods we've discussed today. The Mediterranean diet is not a restrictive diet. It is a sustainable way of eating that can be followed for life. It's also worth noting that meal timing matters. Eating larger meals earlier in the day and smaller meals later in the evening may help support better glucose control. Some research suggests that consuming the majority of your carbohydrates earlier in the day, when insulin sensitivity is naturally higher, can be beneficial. Another factor to consider is the order in which you eat your food. Studies have shown that eating protein and vegetables before carbohydrates can reduce post-meal glucose spikes. This is because the protein and fiber start slowing digestion before the carbohydrates arrive. Now, let me address a common question. Can these foods replace medication? No, this is educational content. The foods we've discussed may support your blood sugar management, but they are not a substitute for prescribed medication. Always work with your healthcare provider to manage your condition. If you're considering making significant changes to your diet, it's best to do so gradually. This allows your body to adapt and makes the changes more sustainable. Start with one new food or one new habit each week. Also, keep a food journal. Write down what you eat, when you eat it, and what your blood sugar readings are. This can help you identify patterns and see which foods work best for you. Another practical tip is to batch cook. Prepare large portions of fiber-rich foods like lentils or quinoa at the beginning of the week. This makes it easier to include them in your meals when you're busy. I also recommend staying hydrated. Drinking water before meals can help with satiety and may also help with blood sugar management. It's also important to consider the quality of your food. Choose whole, unprocessed foods whenever possible. The closer a food is to its natural state, the more nutrients and fiber it typically contains. Finally, remember that stress and sleep also play a significant role in blood sugar management. Managing stress through activities like walking, meditation, or deep breathing can help lower cortisol levels, which can in turn help stabilize blood sugar. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night. This is educational content. Always consult your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your health routine, especially if you're on medication for blood sugar or insulin resistance. If this video gave you a new perspective on how to lower your blood sugar with food, share it with someone who might need to hear it. There's a good chance someone in your life is struggling with the same thing and doesn't know where to start. Subscribe to HEH for more science-based health education, and leave a comment below. What's one food you're going to try adding to your meals this week? I read every single one. I'm Dr. Vivian Hart. Start small, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.